The Mastering Local Marketing podcast helps local small business owners like you understand what it takes to successfully market your business and drive new customers through your doors. We provide actionable insights, interview leading experts and business owners in various industries, as well as provide tips and tricks we've uncovered over the last 25 years in the field. Whether you're starting your business or you've been at it for decades, let us provide you with the education and resources you need to grow your customer base. It's time to start mastering your local marketing. Here's your host, Matt Hanson.
Welcome to episode 9. Today we are talking with Chris Barbauld, the president of the Barbauld Agency, in regard to shopping for your next website, or maybe you're just looking for somebody to take on the work. You have a website that's already been done in the past and you just need an update. So Chris, tell me a little bit about the Barbauld Agency.
Yeah, Matt, we've been in business now for 16 years. We're located in Northwest Indiana here in Valparaiso, about an hour and 15 minutes out of Chicago. We're a full service marketing advertising agency, ranging from business cards to billboards is what I used to say, because we do everything in between. So,
right. Great. So, the number one thing here, everybody needs a website, right? And, when you come across, when you're in business, right, somebody wants to, you get the phone call, you get somebody that sends you an email, you see an ad that's out there, and there's a million different people that can go out there and build you a website. Today, I wanted to kind of discuss with you what are some of the warning signs that we have when we're talking to these individuals, or even as you're starting to see some of the ads. So let's kind of go down and some of the things that you've seen, some of the things that I've seen, but you
actually
probably
have a funny story as you sat there and said, everyone needs a website. We actually had a client one time come to us, prospect, who owned an ice cream shop, and they, we were talking to them about making them a website, and they were like, well, we were told we don't need a website. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. What do you mean? And they're like, well, they said, in the mid 90s, if you didn't sell online, you didn't need a website. So I would definitely say this much, that what we say today in 2025 of February will change. So, in this given time snapshot, don't take whatever we say today straight to heart, because it will change. I promise you that in the next few years. So
that is true, right? So I've heard the same thing, right? So service business, maybe a really small company that just thinks they don't need a website. And that's, I guess that's fine. But people find your business online at this point. So let's jump into kind of the first thing that I see all the time. We have everything from businesses like yours that are offering these services all the way to you'll get a college student that'll reach out, building their portfolio, or somebody that's starting, or, somebody that you've never even heard of is knocking on your door asking if you need a website. Like, what are some of the pros and what are some of the cons when it comes to the type of individual or business that you're dealing with?
Yeah. So I would say it varies so much. Like, the key is ask for a portfolio. You need to see some of this work before. Even a college student, right? They usually probably have a class or two that they've taken to start working on their portfolio. And it's always so interesting to see the different breadths of how people do it. I always say one of the reasons that people come to us, the Barbauld Agency, is for the talent that we have. We have a graphic artist to design it, a designer, a programmer to program it, a copywriter to write it, marketing person to make sure, your call to actions are in the right place, and making sure all of that comes together. But that may not be what every business needs. You're a smaller business that, just having some college student who is trying to grow their portfolio could work very well for you. But the key is making sure that the level of business you are matches the person you're hiring.
Yeah, I think that's huge, right? So if you get a college student to come in, sometimes they may have some legitimate expertise, right? Sometimes they may be in Wix for the first time or something along those lines, and they're kind of learning on the job and they're trying to build that portfolio. I think the question just really is, how advanced are you? How many websites have you done? Yeah. And quite honestly, can you show me some proof?
Yep.
Right. So
exactly.
Yeah. So, if you don't have a portfolio, if you have never done a website, we always kind of joke that you get what you pay for, right? Yeah. So if somebody if somebody comes in tomorrow and says, hey, I want to offer you a free website, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. The free website, like we said, you get for what you pay for. So why are they offering you a free website? I actually know companies that will offer a free website, because what they do is they get their hooks into you, and then it's a monthly fee to keep the website going, or, they end up owning your domain name. And that's the kiss of death. So, find out why. That's what I tell people. Like, be curious, because there is a reason why that they're willing to give it to you for free. Maybe they say, oh, we'll give you a free website if you spend $100,000 with us in order to do all the ads. Maybe that makes sense for your business. Maybe it doesn't, but vet it. If it sounds too good to be true, it usually is, right?
Yes, without a doubt, right? There's nothing in this world for free, and I don't believe you should believe that either, right?
Yeah, right. Even though it's the number one marketing word, right, doesn't mean that it always works. Now, if you have a college student that might be worth doing it for free, ask them why. Make sure, it's funny. I took my first website building class back in the early to late 90s. And I laugh. We learned everything in this class except actually how to make a website go live. So, you built this whole little thing, and at no point did they say, and here's the go button. So it's different classes, different students might come in and say they can build a website for free and build you this beautiful website. And the next thing you know, it's not working, or they're not following best practices. I had a company that actually has done business in every continent except one, and like 127 different countries. And they let someone build their website who worked for another company, but it turns out they missed things like making the phone number clickable, or the address linked to, a Google Maps page. Or we had one where they, just links in the footer weren't linking to those pages. And I had to come back to that, client and say, hey, you probably got a great price on this website, but we need to update these things before we start driving traffic to it. So be aware of that.
So let me go back, right? So you mentioned two things that kind of stood out. One is, do you own your website, right? So we have a domain name, which is your, abc.com, whatever domain name you've put out there. And then you have the actual website itself.
Yes.
So there are companies that will do work for you, and they, if you don't read the fine print, you may not own the domain, you may not own the website. Have you come across that with some of the clients you have?
Oh yeah. Come across it often. That, or they don't know where their domain is. They don't know what company, like, is it GoDaddy? Is it Squarespace? Who has that domain? And just talking to the clients, that's always our first question. Like, do you own your domain? I've yet to hear someone confidently throw a flag in the ground and say, yes, I own it. It's always, I think so. I'm like, that's always scary. That's like your physical address, or like a pizza shop's phone number. Like, how often people used to call that, or eventually remember when you're having pizza once a week. So if you got to make sure in the contract you own your URL. If you don't own the website, I mean, that would suck to have to pay for that again, but nowhere near as much it's going to cost you to rebuild the SEO and reprint all of your files and everything else with your new domain name. It's not worth it. So
what you're saying though is that, the domain, some companies will actually hold on to that, or you have to pay them for that if you were to ever leave them. Same thing with the website, right?
Yep. Same thing with the website. Actually, there's a funny story. A couple of years ago, an employee for Google was able to buy Google.com. It turns out that that Google forgot to renew their domain, and the guy bought it. I laughed because he got like a couple $1,000 bonus. I'm like, I think I would have held out and negotiate for a little more than $1,000, just saying. So, but yeah, it's that domain name, just like that. Google, think of Google all of a sudden had to change their domain name. It'd be terrible for them. So you may not be as big as Google, but still, I bet you there's a few people that know your website. So
And then you mentioned, make sure that is in the contract, right? So
Yes.
A lot of people may be doing handshake deals. They may be, they know cousin Timmy can do a website or Timmy knows somebody else that can do a website. And then it ends up where you are getting a website, you've paid for it, and you don't have any physical contract in hand that outlines anything. How does that cause some issues as well?
Yes, we've seen that as well, where the no contract, that you see people come to the, once again, as I said, no one's ever defiantly said, I own my domain name. It is, so that contract lays that out for them. Our contract, for example, talks about SEO in our contract. We had a couple of years ago where, funny enough, a teammate and I, we each went a separate way that day in order to sell a website, and we both got back, sold the websites, did the work, and both clients were like, "Oh, why aren't I on the first page of Google automatically?" And in the contract, it very clearly says, SEO is a separate service for us. Some website providers, it's not, but once again, making sure you're reading the contract, find out what you own, what you don't own. It could be, I've seen as far as where if you turn over photos, that they now own the photos. So if you want to show off a photo of, maybe it's a family business that your father started, 50 years ago, 60 years ago, and you give them the family photo of, your dad starting the business, there's contracts that say they now own that photo. So make sure you read the fine print and really, really, and it's worth protecting you. If the person says, "Oh, I don't need one," well, then, like I said, making sure you own the domain. As simple as that. So definitely worth thinking about.
Yeah, I think having things in writing is always important. Recently had a client that had come back and was kind of questioning some things. I went in with another company to kind of do some things, and I had a contract that clearly stated what was involved. I'm not sure they did, but we were acting as two separate businesses, and that's how it worked, right? So as I talked to the client went, "Oh, of course, that's clearly outlined in the contract. I should have known that." And that was the end of it. So really, if you understand what is in there and it's stated, that can be everything from the deliverables to how they're handled to even the communication, right? So communication is key. You hire somebody and you pay them money, and then they take these files, these pictures and all of this, and they disappear, right? Yeah. So the communication of going back and forth and having these timely meetings is really important. And I think many people overlook that part, right? So
sure,
if people aren't responding, if you send an email and you're not getting an answer for a week or even worse beyond that, that's a problem, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, from an agency side, you're probably seeing it from a client side, but, that causes delays and causes hiccups. And, your timeliness of getting that website to where it needs to be is always going to be delayed if somebody is not getting back in touch with you.
Yep. And both sides, for sure. And it's something that, I try to, when I talk to people about starting a website project, it's about getting what you need to deliver to the person building your website before you even make the call. So as we talked about earlier, that 50-year-old picture of your dad starting the business or your mom starting the business, well, find those pictures, have those ready. So when they say, that you can deliver that stuff. And then there should be something laid out of here's our, 60-day plan, 30-day plan, 2-week plan, whatever it takes for them to build the website, to come back to you and say, in this time frame, we're going to, do this, this, and this. One thing I did forget to say about the contract is revisions and how those will be handled. So is it, endless revisions? Is it 2 hours worth of revisions? And also, when are you going to see the website? Sometimes people mock it up in a design file and then code it and then show you. Some people just do the whole website and say, here's your website. Hope you're happy. It varies so much. I mean, I bet you've seen that in your own regard.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, It depends. It really does on who you're dealing with. And many times I've seen, here's the deliverable. This is what we put out for you. If you want changes, it's extra. Many of the times that I do work and that you do work, I know there's revisions in it, right? So there's set number of revisions, changes that can be done up to a certain amount of hours or whatever it may be. That is always something to look forward to, because quite honestly, nothing is going to come up perfect.
Yeah.
It just never works that way. So we might as well look for that on the end to say, okay, when we do get it to where we think it's going to be correct, we know it's not going to be.
Yeah.
How many hours of revisions do I get to make it correct?
Yep. And also the difference between a revision and, like when you're building a house and it's called the blue tape, where they give you the little blue painter's tape and you have to walk around and go, well, they messed up here. They messed up here. Same thing, that there should be a set of revisions, and separately they should want to fix the website to make it right. I've seen times, the biggest mistake that I see with amateur website makers is they put a contact form and then forget to link it somewhere. Like, they're like, oh, and it usually takes the business, depending on how many forms they get, a week to 3 weeks where they're like, we haven't got any forms lately. And the guy's like, that's what I forgot to do. So, making sure that that's not considered a revision, but that's considered, a punch list item that they need to go back and fix.
Right. So you've just called me out. I've actually got a web page right now with a form that's not working, and I'm trying to find time to get back to it either today or tomorrow. So you've officially called me out. So here, let me call out the one I love to hear the most, right? We'll build you a website and you'll be on the first page of Google.
Oh, yes.
Is that going to happen?
That's the biggest red flag. That's like this little, Monopoly get out of jail free card. You can go as fast as you want by the cops, but they're never going to arrest you. If they say that, run. Honestly, it's a terrible thing. Google's algorithm is forever evolving, forever changing. And I laugh at it because there's times that I see on, the local 3-pack, which is the little map part, where it shows me someone who doesn't even have a website. And I have someone else who has 50 reviews and been in business longer. And it's like, why did they choose that business over that business? So if someone guarantees you the first page at Google, run.
Yeah. When it comes to search engine optimization, which is SEO, as we've been referring to, it really is it is something that you have to do on a daily basis, right? So you have to constantly be doing research and understanding what your competitors are doing and breaking it down. And quite honestly, what small business really has that opportunity to sit down and do that on a daily basis? Yeah. And if they're hiring an agency to do this for them, if you're hiring an SEO agency to do that, it's pretty pricey, right? So it's not something that they're going to go out there and find somebody that I can pay them $500 a month and they're going to actually do a really great job and get you to where you think, number one. It's just not going to happen. So I always cringe when I hear, I want to be number one, as we joke on the Google, right?
On the Google, yes.
On the Google, that you hear that every once in a while. But okay, so.
And it is true. I mean, you see that so much with SEO, as we talk about SEO, to be careful. I really think that's today's snake oil, because they always tell you it takes 3 to 6 months to see the results that we're doing today before you actually see those results on Google. And then those 3 or 6 months pass, you've gained a position or whatever, or you haven't, you fell 2 positions. And they're like, oh, we're sorry. And then you spent all this money. So it is very, very tough with the SEO game of finding a valid company. There for a little bit, we didn't do it and we had to outsource it. And I actually got bamboozled by these companies. So it's easy to do nowadays. I mean, research and
so let's flip gears once again, right? So you guys build a lot of websites. Yeah. And you have the ability to either put them on a CMS system that's already out there, right? So it's whether it's WordPress, Wix or any of those. Obviously there's a bunch of them. or you can custom code. From an agency perspective, I know there are agencies that will do a lot of custom coded websites and build these beautiful things that are art. And then there are others that will take templates or WordPress and kind of manipulate them to where they need to be. And then there's all the way on the other side, somebody that just is looking for a theme, upload it into WordPress, and then they can customize it real easily to what they're looking at. What do you think is, if somebody doesn't necessarily understand how to build a website, what direction would you go?
Yeah, I would say it depends what you want to do with your website in the end, right? If you want to build it and forget about it, which what I often say is, if you build it and forget about it, Google will too. But if you build it and you want to go in the back end, and maybe you have a pizza restaurant and you change up the weekly specials. Well, if someone's hard coding that and you've never taken a programming class, that might be a little bit harder to understand. But if you put it on a CRM and it's a little bit easier, and they have, hey, this is exactly where you go, they make you a little video, then that's probably the way to go. But it really is a personal choice. I mean, Nike, Bloomberg.com, those are built on WordPress. There's people that talk bad about WordPress. Then again, there's people that talk bad about all of them. I personally can't stand Drupal. We have a client on Drupal, and I don't understand why it takes so long for the programmers to do stuff. And they're like, Chris, have a seat, I'll show you. And I'm like, okay, that is taking way longer than I expected to. So, but it is a personal choice. But the key is remembering what your ultimate goal is. Is it build it? Is it for speed? The other thing is, if you're going to build it on one of these CRMs, like WordPress, secure it. That is very, very vulnerable, that if you're not updating the CRM and all of the plugins that go with it, bad people can get into your website and do bad things.
So let's say that I hire the Barbled agency to do a website, and you build the website. On the flip side, if I'm that restaurant that wants to change the menu every single week, it's a page that I have to go, right? So I have to log into WordPress. I have to go to that individual page, and I would have to update it. Now, do you guys offer any services to where you train them how to update those things?
We do. Actually, what we've done lately now is, for those clients, we used to, like anything, and you learn in business, right? The first few times we built the thing, handed them the keys, and then I get a phone call 2 weeks later and say, there's a giant cat on my homepage. I'm like, well, do you know this cat? Yeah, it's Fluffy. You uploaded Fluffy.
Right.
So
right. That's always fun, isn't it?
It is fun. It is fun. And then you have to go in and find out how much else they broke in the back engine. And then for a few years, we didn't give people access. What we found lately now is we try to limit access to what they're going to change, like that menu item or something like that. And then we provide a video to them and say, hey, here's how you're going to log in. Here's where you're going to go. Here's where you're going to type, and you can have fun in the sandbox and play all day. So it's one of those things as an agency that we had to learn of what's the right amount of keys to the Ferrari do you give them.
Right. And another thing that I've noticed is I've done it myself is not backing things up. So training these people how to back up their websites. And then when they update a plugin or something, and it throws the entire website into something that you did not create, right? So that happened to me last summer. I was updating a website and updated one little plugin and went back into the website, and it was completely different. Couldn't figure out what I had done.
Yeah.
Finally got it back, which was fine. But it's as simple as just clicking one thing. And I think that training, really, when you're talking to a company and you're becoming a partner, it's really important to understand what to do and what not to do. So if you're going to update a plugin in WordPress, or you're going to update a certain page, make sure that you understand what you're doing and every button that you're pushing. Yeah. And maybe get Fluffy off the desktop before you start uploading images. But overall, I would say there's a bunch of things to look for, right? And it's really just how detailed or how involved you want to get.
Yeah.
How much money you want to spend, because you can spend a lot of money on websites, but you can also spend very little. Finding the right individual that's not going to waste your time, your money, is going to be responsive,
Yep.
And overall, just
talk a little bit about
understanding the
responsive,
experience. What's that?
Sorry, can you talk a little bit about what responsive means?
Are they responsive when you reach out, right? So if I say, hey, Chris, I need another 2 pages added to my website. We've got an event coming up on Saturday and it's Monday. If I don't get a response from you until Friday, that's not a good thing, right? Because then I doubt that site is, or that page is going to get up, because odds are your designers aren't working on the weekend. So that's what I mean by responsive. If they're not checking their emails, if they're not responding to your text messaging, that's definitely something that's going to cause some problems for you in the future.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
And I
all right, last thoughts. Anything else you want to share?
Also, last thing I would share is, where are you going to host your website? What company works well? As you talk about backing up websites, there's companies that you can host with that take a daily backup of your site. So think about that. Think about what goes into that. We had a client one time that we used to spend 20, 30 hours a month working on their website, and magically this company that we were hosting it with messed up and deleted all the backups, and then moved what server it was being hosted on. And we went from December promotions back to August and come step of the poolside. So be careful with that. Definitely take your own backup at night as well. And find out all you can about the companies. We've been fortunate enough to win a few awards, to say the least. We've won, I think, 7 awards for our website designs and programming and stuff like that. So keep an eye on that. Yeah.
Sounds good. Well, thanks for being with us today. Again, just wanted to give some advice as to how to go about shopping for your next website. You guys can like us on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and iHeartRadio, and see us on social as well on YouTube. So check us out, and we will see you on our next episode. Thanks a lot, Chris.
Thank you so much, Matt.
The Mastering Local Marketing podcast helps local small business owners like you understand what it takes to successfully market your business and drive new customers through your doors. We provide actionable insights, interview leading experts and business owners in various industries, as well as provide tips and tricks we've uncovered over the last 25 years in the field. Whether you're starting your business or you've been at it for decades, let us provide you with the education and resources you need to grow your customer base. It's time to start mastering your local marketing.